Go on, Alex and Debs. Hello, mate. Good to see you, and nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. How are we? Take a seat.
Good, good.
Before we do anything... Oh, I'm dropping my clipboard. Good save. Before we do anything, we're going to take a look at your predictions from last week. Let's do it. Let's do it.
They were good for once.
They were all right this time, for a change.
Go on then.
Well, my two picks are left and right. The ones that don't wear claret and blue. I think Balassi, I know they spent a lot of money on him. He'll probably struggle this weekend because he's against the European giant that is Southampton. But no, you've got to take into consideration, I think Balassi, so we've picked three here that they're all good players in their own right, but they haven't really hit the heights this season. And especially with the Christmas period coming up, if you hit form.
You did have some decent suggestions last week, but Jack isn't here this week, and he suggested Yannick Balassi and Pereira, who did absolutely nothing.
Yep.
And he dodges the bullet.
He dodges it, yeah. He's at the Emirates tonight.
Is he?
Watching his beloved Southampton smash Arsenal.
Oh, God, he'll be unbearable, won't he?
He's definitely going to be unbearable.
He's going to be absolutely...
Even more so, yeah.
Yeah, even more so. Well, welcome to our Lime Green Sofas, and thank you for joining us. Should we just crack on? Should we have a look at your suggestions for this week? Let's do it. The first one you've got, this hurt me so much. This was so... I think I hurt more than him. Oh, that's not what I was looking for at all. I was looking for Coutinho replacements. Here we go, Coutinho replacements. Oh, I'm so... Look at the poor guy. Look at Philippe.
Bless him.
Look at that face.
Look at that face. He's devastated, isn't he? Absolutely devastated. I was so upset to see him go. They're saying back in the new year, but obviously... Normally, that would mean only missing 3 or 4 games, or if there's an international break, 2, but he's going to miss 6 or 7. So if Coutinho's in your team, he needs to come out, basically.
Definitely.
Let's go through all these suggestions. First one, Leroy Fair. I mean, I keep not putting him in, because I keep going, he's not going to score again. He's scored all his goals for the season. 2 at the weekend. What's going on with him?
I think that game was a bit of an anomaly as well. Was it 5-4 in the end?
Yeah.
But it seems to be him and Sigurdsson in the middle seems to be pulling the strings for Swansea. And I think they're the 2 players that will get him out of the mess that they're in at the moment. And you can see already. I mean, he's only owned by 8.4% as well. Points per 90 is pretty high as well. I mean, for £5 million. And you're going to, if you get him in instead of Coutinho, you're going to be saving what, probably about 3 or 4 mil as well. Yeah. To invest elsewhere. So he's definitely one to consider.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the only thing put me off is at what point do these kind of hot streaks of goals come to an end? But he keeps proving me wrong every single week. So does this guy, to be fair. He's been proving me wrong based on how much I've criticised in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. Theo Walcott's banging form this year, isn't he?
Yeah. Go on.
Absolutely, yeah. He's been completely revived this season. It's nice to see him actually fulfilling his potential, because he's been talked about for so long, and it's strange that now this has sort of come when he's moved back to the right wing after so many years of wanting to be the striker. But yeah, Arsenal got a good thing going this season. He's definitely one you should be getting on. And for 8 million, I mean, it's not, in fancy football terms, it's not crazy money.
Yeah, so. No, it's not at all. It's not at all. And that price is only going to keep going up, I think, because he's going to keep scoring goals. I get the impression for this year. It is half-time, by the way, in the Arsenal-Southampton game. 2-0 to Southampton in that game. Bit of a crazy result. This next man, the surprise package of the season, do you think, Victor Moses?
I'd say so. I mean, he was at loan at my club last year, and he sort of flitted in and out of form. I think the West Ham just decided not to take up the option to buy him because he just didn't really do much. But he's got a little bit of belief under Conte. The only downfall with getting Moses in that he's technically playing as a defender for Chelsea, but he's listed as a midfielder on the game, so you're kind of losing on points there. But he's getting in amongst the goals. He's got an assist. And given his price, his points per 90 minutes is pretty high, and no one really owns him either. So you're looking at a differential as well. So
I do think that's the 2.5% only having him is partly due to the fact that he is classed as a midfielder, which quite rightly, because he's always been a midfielder. Yeah. Do you think in that system, the 3-4-3, he's still getting involved enough in attacking? Because he does get up and down that line quite a bit, so he should still get opportunities to contribute with the big numbers as well.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I'd say definitely. I mean, he's got the 2 wing-backs either side of him, he's got the 3 centre-backs, and then he's got N'Golo Kante covering the whole pitch pretty much week in, week out, so he's allowed to get up and down that wing, and he's definitely getting involved, and the full-backs are cutting, the attacking midfielders are cutting inside, and he's providing the width. Yeah. And that differential there is just, at this stage of the season, everyone's getting the same group of players, so if you want to go up and up your league, you need to get somebody that nobody else has got.
Yeah, and 2.5% Victor Moses certainly falls under that category. And this final guy, Juan Mata, is he single-handedly keeping Jose Mourinho in a job at the moment? Feels that way.
I'd say so, but then at the same time, I don't think he's completed the full 90 minutes this season.
No.
I think he's one of the most subbed off players in the Premier League. But he's getting points again. In terms of value for money, he's pretty good. No one really owns him. I think we spoke about him a few weeks ago. I think we did a full infographic on Mata. He tends to sort of pop up when it really counts for them. So again, and he's a little bit more expensive than the rest of the guys there, but and definitely one to consider.
Yeah, I'm amazed at 4.1%. Oh, here we go.
West Ham.
Look at your face. Yeah. West Ham have equalised.
Who scored?
Ashley Fletcher.
Yes.
There we
Against
go.
his former club.
There's a storyline for the night.
This is the dream.
There we go. This is the first time I've ever seen you happy about anything
Do you know what?
West Ham on this sofa.
Before the weekend, we didn't have a striker that scored in competitive football since May. We've had 2 and 2 against Man United. Can we play them every week?
Here we go.
Is that right?
Here we go. You hear that, Manchester United fans? West Ham are having a tough season themselves. Want to play you every single week. That's about as low as it gets at the moment.
Yep.
Well done, Ashley Fletcher, though. Glad for him. Let's move on to festive fixture difficulty. I like this. This is good thinking. Good thinking.
Yep.
This is why you get paid the big bucks. Walker. Let's start with Kyle Walker. So, talk us through first the average fixture difficulty.
Well, the Premier League, they have they introduced it this season, so they rank fixtures in terms of difficulty between 5 and 1. So 1 is easy, 5 is difficult.
What's West Ham at West Ham?
Well, I mean, in a couple of weeks it gets a little bit better, but we're still probably averaging about 3, 4 at the moment. But I mean, we've looked at 5 teams that have got a relatively good fixture difficulty between now and maybe I think it's the second game week in January.
Yeah, so down in game week
20.
14 to 20. So it's basically until the
So it's
New
about
Year's.
6 or 7 game weeks. So there's 5 teams, 1 player from each team, all of which have a relatively good run-in between now and I think it's like the 14th of January.
Yeah, it's a crucial time of the year in real football and therefore fantasy football
That's
as well.
right.
Kyle Walker, you're going to get clean sheets with Spurs, although they've not been at their golden best in the last few weeks, but defensively they don't concede many, do they?
No, they are very solid. They have been for a few seasons now, but trouble is they're not so good attacking wise now, and that was a hallmark of their game. The fullbacks getting up and down, but just the goals aren't coming, so not getting so many assists. But
Yeah, but it's some easy games. This next guy is another man who's been reborn under Antonio Conte, Pedro, who's starting to look like the player that I remember from Barcelona at the moment. And some easy fixtures as well for Chelsea over the next 6 or 7 weeks. So definitely worth a punt, isn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, he's 5 assists and 3 goals. And one thing with Pedro is the one thing that stands out is his points per 90, which is 9. He's picking up 9 points every 90 minutes he plays at the moment, which says a lot about how Conte's put a lot of faith in him, but also the impact that he can have on that new system that Conte's adopted at Chelsea. He seems to have a lot more freedom going forward, and for 7.3 mil, and they've only got 2.6 average difficulty over the next 6 or 7 weeks, so he's going to get you more points.
And he's essentially playing up front alongside Diego Costa at the moment as well. Alvaro Negredo, a couple of goals for him at the weekend after going through a bit of a drought. Does the start of him turning a corner maybe?
Well, Middlesbrough have got hope so really, haven't they? I can't see where else the goals are going to come from other than Negredo. But yeah, if he can, fixtures coming thick and fast, but if he can get a couple, he seems like a little bit of a streaky player. So earlier in the season and that, but yeah, he's definitely.
He's got pedigree as well throughout his
yeah.
career for scoring goals, including right here in England in the Premier League. Gylfi Sigurdsson, we touched on, but he's having a great season single-handedly, it seems, trying to keep Swansea alive at the moment. 4 goals, 4 assists. Points per 90 again, 5.2, very, very high.
Yeah, I think with Sigurdsson, and we touched on with Fur in the last graphic, is that I think that win over Palace at the weekend is going to really give Swansea that boost. And I mean, Bob Bradley's got a bit of a job on his hands, but that win, I think, is going to, and it's him and Fur that are going to really be the spear to that survival push. And his stats are pretty good: 4 goals, 4 assists, 5.2 points per 90.
He's very consistent as well. He's always
consistent.
Goals
I mean,
and
for years he's been consistent.
Been doing it for
even
5
when he was
years
at Spurs, but and their average difficulty, given that they're down there, their still average difficulty is just 2. Given that ranks up to 5.
Around them.
So I reckon Swansea will get out of it, and Sigurdsson and Fur will be up there with them.
And he takes set pieces as well, which is something you've really got to look out for. So
That's
free
right.
kicks, penalties.
Yeah, very good point.
Whipping balls in from corners and free kicks.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlie Austin, I mean, Jack's not even here. Jack's not even
I
here.
put them in
and he's managed to get Charlie Austin on this slide.
Well, I did that, and I spoke to him earlier, and I said, I'm going to put Austin in for you, mate. And he was pretty pleased with it. But
yeah, I mean, the points per 90 higher is very high, 6.6. He didn't actually start the season, really. He wasn't really their first choice. He's forced his way into that team, and he can't stop scoring goals.
That's down to Shane Long, sort of in and out of injury, not really in form. But he grabbed a couple of goals early on and sort of kept his spot.
Yeah, and he took the chance of both hands. And if Charlie Austin does play 38 league games in a season, we saw what he did at QPR, 18 league goals, I think, in a tie they get relegated. So definitely worth having a look at. And very cheap as well, very cheap, £6.8 million. Right, let's move on to Fanjul. Fanjul, which is the fantasy football that Football Fancast run. That was a very difficult sentence to say. You've got the most frequent shooters is one of the slides that you've given us here. Let's take a look at that, because explain the logic behind this, because so you get points for shots on target. Is that correct?
You do. You get five for a shot on target, 15 for a goal.
Okay. So these guys are most likely to get you 2 of those things.
Yeah, I banged on about this quite a lot, actually, when we're talking about Fanjul, and that you need to be picking the guys that are more likely to be getting their most shots away, because if you get on target, you're picking up the points, you're racking them up. I think Austin at the weekend, he got 1 goal, but I think he had like 4 shots on target. Boosted his points total up. And the likes of the midfielders as well, they're in there. They're going to be relatively cheap, but they're going to be still picking up points. So.
Although I wouldn't go for Coutinho, would be my advice for the next 6 weeks.
Don't get Coutinho in there. Whatever you do, don't do that.
It's more about the statistics than anything else. We can look at the Ultimate 11 as well in Fanjul from the weekend just gone. There's always a few surprises in there. Randolph had a great game. Great game against Manchester United. Tompkins, this is where I get confused by Fanjul. Tompkins they conceded 5, but he obviously bagged one himself, did he not?
He got one himself, yeah.
Yeah.
But you also get points for interceptions. Defenders will get points for interceptions, for tackles made, chances created, things like that. So regardless of conceding a load of goals, there's still loads of ways of racking up the points for these players.
Yeah, well, I went for that approach in my team, and we'll talk about that in a few moments' time. Macaulay, just West Brom's top goal scorer every season, absolutely bangs them in. And I can see the logic behind the others as well. Fair and Sigurdsson, we've already discussed, but those 2 guys seem to be worth getting in every single different form of fantasy football at the moment. Jordan Henderson, is he one of those that's not a fantasy football player? Is he kind of the opposite? He's not necessarily a fantasy football player, but a good Fanjul player.
Yeah, I'd say so, because this season you see him with the way Liverpool play, and he drops in and he's almost like a third centre-back when we're attacking, so he's passing the ball around a lot from deep midfield, completing the passes, which you're getting points for all the time, which isn't normally the sort of thing you look for on Fantasy Premier League. But yeah, he's consistently, he's a fairly decent scorer.
But here on Fanjul, very useful, and the front 3 kind of picked themselves as well. Lorenzo, those 2 late goals against Crystal Palace in that crazy game that we've mentioned at least 1,000 times now, and I'm not even sorry, it was such a great game. Moving on, we can have a look at my team that I selected for this weekend. I made my Fanjul debut. So this is what I was talking about, right? So every week I look on here when you show your Ultimate 11, and you always have defenders that concede loads of goals. So I was like, yeah, I'll put Scott Dann back there, Michael Keane, Ashley Williams, Fabianski. They did nothing. They were useless. Where are all my defensive stats? That's what I want to know.
You need your goal-scoring defenders in there. But
there's 3
defenders that their averages are pretty high. Normally, I mean, Dan was involved in a crazy game. Everton were rubbish against Williams. I mean, even 19's pretty decent score for a defender anyway. So, and I thought Burnley were pretty decent against Man City. So there weren't 3 bad selections, but it's all about on the day. So many different ways of scoring points.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can see my Liverpool coming through here, that I'm a Liverpool fan.
Coutinho was unlucky.
Coutinho, 4 points. I mean, that didn't help.
He was off after, half hour or something.
Yeah, him getting injured, so he only got 4 points. And I thought Sunderland at home, we'll bang a few in. 2-0, but luckily he won a penalty late on. And then he technically didn't score or get an assist, but then Firmino's one of those players, he's all action, isn't he? He'll get a lot of points in Fanjul, I'd imagine.
Couple of shots on target, probably. You get 3 points for a chance created as well. So the players like Firmino, Mane and Coutinho, when Coutinho's fit, those sort of players you need in there, because if they're not scoring, they're not assisting, they're creating chances. So again, there's points in it.
Yeah, that was well done, Robert Snodgrass, by the way, for being my top point scorer. Thank God for Robert. We can have a look. I think we have the table from this week's Fanjul. So you set up a Fan TV Fanjul. You at the top. That's so annoying. That is so annoying. It was Jack on this. Oh, there he is. Second.
Yeah,
Look at you two.
Yeah.
Oh, fantasy football experts.
We're not your experts for nothing.
Oh, God, that's annoying.
I actually came second in another league where I won 370 quid as well this week.
I saw this. Did I win a quid?
You won a quid.
Yes. How much did I put in?
Nothing.
Yes. That's 100% profit.
You're a pounder.
100% profit. Here we go. Now we're talking. Well, how do I collect my pound?
You have to email them and I should take it.
I want my pound. Christmas is around the corner. Yeah, so I was Lalana Rama. Best name there, by the way. But Lalana Rama, 151 points. So all these weeks that I've been giving you and Jack so much criticism for not having a clue.
And there we are.
Proof's in the pudding. That's
Top
so
of the pile.
upsetting. Were you in this?
Oh, no, I think I need to get in on it, really.
You need to get in it for next
I follow it, but I just
because I need to. And thank you, Matt, by the way. Thank you, Matt, behind the scenes at
There he
Fan TV
is.
for coming bottom and making me look slightly better. So, cheers, Matt. That's all we have time for. We're going to leave on the note that I came 8th out of 9th and you won. That's gutting. Right, next week, I'm so finishing top and you're coming 8th. Okay? Very nice to meet you, by the way. Nice to meet a Liverpool fan. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And you... Yeah, I'm still not sure. Still not keen about you.
Thanks, mate.
No, you will be back same time next week with your, I've now got to say it, expert fantasy football predictions.
Yes.
That is so upsetting.